All right. Hello, everybody. Glad to see we've got several people on here already joining with us. It's usually these down days that people that we tend to get a really quick and higher attendance rate. So thanks for being with me. I'm Keith Bybee. This is the Hurley Investments Trade Findings and Adjustments for June 11th. As we're talking here, this is what our market's doing. Probably going to come down and at least test a 200 day. So I'm going to be putting on orders as we kind of talk through things. It just seems like the market's continuing to be ridiculous, but now switching to the other way around and selling off because of more coronavirus cases getting kicked back up a bit. Of course, the fear there is that it will slow down or reverse the opening process and businesses will have to close back up. There's also the market doesn't seem to completely love everything that the Fed said yesterday. And for heaven's sakes, our market has run up so fast and so quick. It's reasonable to think of some profit taking would happen, at least in the near week or two. So for those reasons, we're protecting here and there for different stocks today of our stock positions. Obviously, I'm going to say that it's a little ridiculous to think that the economy is going to close back up. That is sort of silly. We know more at this point. We know that our hospitals can handle the problem. We know that the mortality rate is far and away significantly lower than it originally was projected. However, that's not necessarily going to stop the market from selling off a bit and before it catches on and hopefully realizes that that's a silly thing to be pricing in. So let me go back to, let's see, let's get some windows back where we need them. You'll see me go through and be protecting. I've got Bank of America. We've added puts. Let's see. Got this set. I believe I've got another set that should be there. Bank of America. So those filled. They must be grouped in a different spot. But we have our 2450 right here. I assume you guys can see my screen. I think I started sharing it. I know I've opened up and not shared it before, so let me know if you guys aren't seeing anything. I might pause here and there as I open a couple of orders so we don't look through account names. But that's what I've got on Bank of America. Next one is Disney. Question here. No images yet. Okay. Thank you, Ida. And you're usually the one to let me know, so I appreciate that. All right, so now we should have some images. So I'm just going through some of our core holdings here, seeing what we can't add a little bit of protection on. Let me just show you, what was that, Disney. So a little out of the money, 115 is what I'm looking at to see if we can protect through this period if it heads down back to 109-ish. It's got a pivot point there at 113. But that's really not what we're protecting for. It's more, again, markets acting goofy. And I'm going to go out to, looking out to July 24th. So we usually get some odd strikes, but Disney really is 115. So I'm going to look at July monthlies. July 24th again. Let me see, 565 is our mid, so we're saving a bunch there. I would, oops, not June. So I'm going to look at July 115 puts. All right, I'm going to pause my screen here. All I'm doing now is going through all of our accounts that have shares, and it automatically shows me how many shares and enters the order that way, but obviously we don't need 500 puts for an account that has 500 shares. We want 5 puts, for one for each 100. So I just go through, close up, adjust the numbers on everybody that has this so that we have the right amount of puts. To go through. As you can tell, it's a bit of a process. So while I am entering these orders, guys, are there any thoughts as to why you think our market's struggling today? I think that's pretty obvious, but what do you think? Or maybe a better question is, why do you think, what do you think is going to prop up our markets instead of continue with the start of a sell-off today? You know, I think that we kind of learned our lesson last time, that it's maybe better to have some protection on just in case than sit through it and see the market fall ridiculous amounts. Again, I don't think that we're talking about testing our lows again. I'm talking about maybe a 10% pullback. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is overblown enough that we head back up tomorrow? Do you think that it was kind of a long time coming? All right, show you my screen again here. Just looking at the orders. Got Disney open buy on our 184 contracts, 575 limit. Some of them got filled. Some of them are waiting, so we'll wait on that one, come back to it. Got a comment from Abraham, not tomorrow, but next week. Still Fed liquidity rules. You know, Abraham, I agree on the Fed liquidity. However, Powell didn't do anybody favors by going off and saying, yeah, I don't believe we're going to have a V-shaped recovery. Powell, why don't you just keep your opinions to yourself? I know it's a tough position to be in, but come on. Why are you saying stuff that's going to bother the market? Okay, JP Morgan is going to be my next one. We have some shares that are split here. These are their puts. We have some way out of the money puts expiring on a bull put here with, let's see, we've got 88.50s. And we have 95 short puts somewhere. Here we go. So it's just grouping them weird. I had gotten JP Morgan on earlier on 99. So we're good on JP Morgan. Disney's still trying to figure itself out. I have gotten Bank of America taken care of, I believe. So let me go through some charts real quick. Apple. Not quite holding on to our pivot point, coming off of overbought. They were upgraded by Bank of America analysts today. So theoretically, they could have been down much worse. Still kind of trying to decide on Apple. Let's go to, we already have protection on Boeing from a few days ago, which is great because they're probably going to go down and test much lower, probably 160, if not 145, right? And on that note, I believe Kevin had talked about adding Boeing leaps on Tuesday, but mentioned with the caveat, if we're down the next day, hold off. So I hope everyone listened to what he had to say there. In fact, let me put that in. I'm gonna erase my stuff from last time. I hope you guys read the article. I think we can get those leaps for much cheaper. So I'm going to reiterate again to hold off on Boeing until we get closer to 163 there. And if it holds that for a day, maybe look at it again. If not, then we're looking at all the way down to the 50-day. So I'm going to say hold off until we confirm a bottom. I believe anyone that had put these two trades on for Facebook and Target should be profitable. Let's see real quick. Second, so maybe back down to break even if you're got those on around the third. And I would say we're okay to hold on and let those become profitable if you had those on. Target's doing surprisingly well. I know Kevin had done a covered call suggestion recently. It looks like it's holding up nicely. I had obviously my leap long calls for $9 on 125 January 21 puts, excuse me, long calls. And let me see where we've got some of this stuff. 321, 25 are looking good, especially today. They're profitable. So if anyone has the same ones, you certainly could book a profit. I was kind of looking more towards a 125 or 127.50 where they had their highs way back on December to be out of those. So if you're willing to be patient, I am going to be patient with those. Kevin's covered call here, looking okay. It's not profitable quite yet, but it's holding up. So, all right. Look at Visa. Visa's worrying me a little bit. Let me see if maybe some 190s. So again, what if, as Abraham says, it bounces up next week? I think the theme that we've been going with, as Kevin and I have been talking through these months in this situation, is we'd rather be protective, especially at this point where if it does go up next week, I'd rather lose a little bit on protection than lose on shares after this huge run up, right? And that's kind of the key. We've had a run up. Let's see if we can protect some profit. So I'm going to be looking at 190s and a little out of the money just to be a little bit cheaper. Pause you guys again. Guys, any questions as I'm going through again? And you're kind of seeing me how I work, what I'm looking at. We did get some protection on Under Armour first thing this morning, just because as it breaks $10 a share, the worry is that it'll go back and test 750. And we gave the rest of the morning the benefit of the doubt to try and see if things fought back. It did slightly, but not really. And as we get into these hours where we know the market kind of struggles through lunch hours back east, not my favorite thing to be doing right now, putting protection on, but seems to be the type of day that we need to. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more questions. Guys, now is your chance. Give me your thoughts, suggestions, questions. What kind of worries are you having? Comment from Abraham, no thoughts, just patience. I like it. Rich asks, CVX has dropped 11 points. Should that have puts and when? Rich, if you're going along with, let me show you my screen again. What I've been saying, well, CVX is already kind of testing a pivot point. Couple dollars to go for testing a 50-day. I just don't love CVX as a trade or a investment right now. Maybe you wait a day, Rich, on CVX. Just kind of looking at the chart, this $11 drop is pretty significant, but you look at every other top and bottom here to what, 87 down to 78, a range here of 94 down to 85. With the range it's been trading in, even as it's gone up, I would wait a day just to see if things cool off tomorrow, Rich. But again, if you're listening to anything I'm saying, we're adding protection onto different stocks because the market is acting irrational. and we'd rather lose a little bit if things head back up on, lose a little bit on protection than see the market continue to sell off, right? Since we've been talking, it's gone 20 more points on the S&P. Let me look again at Apple. So I thought Apple was holding, and it was holding up nicely earlier. But I might save Apple for an end of day as we get through the lunch hour, just because they got a nice upgrade and they were holding up so nicely earlier. Oh, and I need to get my E-Trade back on. Let me pause here. It was freezing up on me. Let's see. Just go through. Let me see if we got filled on anything else. We got Visa still open. Only some of Disney got filled. It says JP Morgan and Bank of America got filled, but I cannot find. Let's see. Hopefully resetting did the trick, but I can't find 2450s. Okay, here's a few. Here's some. Sometimes when you have so many different people and different things and spreads and whatnot, it kind of groups things goofy on E-Trade. So we got 102, 177 should be our number. So I think we've got 36 here that for whatever reason are grouped differently. We do have some 21 puts that are expiring. I think those are against a, yep, that's a bull put, 2250. So I'm going to get these ones protected. I've got filled at 173 here. So I'm going to try and get as close as I can on these ones. I hope this is entertaining, if nothing else, for you guys. And these ones are going to have to be a little more, oh, we're on calls. Whew, no wonder. Don't forget to switch to puts, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pause you here again. See if we can't get filled for these last group of people. Okay, so those are in open. Let's take a look at Facebook. And already we've got Apple kind of cooling off a little bit. Facebook, I think I'm okay. Let's see. Just to show you guys a little JP Morgan. All right, my AirPods are kind of low on battery, so let me know if you start to hear me wig out. I got a question. Ida asked, do you generally buy to open long puts 30 days out? Typically, at least a month, not a little more. So yes, Ida. All right, other thoughts, other questions, throw them at me. Thank you for the responses. And I got to get myself into a plug. Bear with me. This is exciting. I don't know about you guys, but this is exciting. You can't get much better entertainment than this. What I'm worried about is how you guys are doing, what's going through your minds, and where I can talk you through and help. Appreciate Rich for the CVX question. Let me just check on a couple things again, see where we're at. Checking on Bank of America. We had gotten some Disney filled. Not all of them. So I'm going to go back to Disney, check on these. So those are grouped together on 3,500 shares. So we got the rest of them but maybe we need to adjust our order here. So that looks like it did the trick. We got the rest of them in there. Get back to Disney and double check here. And there we go. 1,800, excuse me, 18,400 shares protected, which is nice. Done with Disney. Going back to Bank of America. Check my order here. Let's just move it around. Gave it a few minutes. Let's just set it 180, and then I might just let it sit there for a while. See if we can get filled. Here we are. 2450s at 180. Imagine those will get filled quickly. Do not. Check Apple again. So I'm going to make the decision to hold off a little on Apple and revisit our other core holdings for puts later on. Let me see. Just to refresh my memory, we've got Disney. I believe we had gotten Visa. We've got Bank of America almost. And JP Morgan are in. So I was going to look over at Costco for you guys as a possible look again. As a trade, let's see. So the thing I like about where Costco is, and Kevin has mentioned, you know, as far as sales go, as their fundamentals, that they didn't take off maybe like you'd think they would back up to the highs. So that was a little disconcerting on obviously not doing better sales wise through the shutdown period. However, check out this 50-day, and it's held that for the last 2 months pretty well. We've got a pivot point. I would say look at this one maybe tomorrow to see if we bounce a little bit off of this pivot point, and then to be out of it if it heads up to 315. Let's go back to see what we've got on Costco. So this is where I would look. So January 21, 350s is one we have on here. 764. And this is one that I've held one and traded the other contract. So what I might be thinking is if I have a couple contracts and I see a good healthy bounce tomorrow, I might look at doing another leap to see if I can continue to trade in a range. So that's what I would look at. January 21, 350 calls for around 7-ish. Obviously that changes if it's gives us a little bit of a confirmation that it's going to hold that price. It's low volume today, which might just mean that not a lot of people are selling it. So that's, and it's holding that 50 and pivot point. So I'm going to write that in. And again, you could sell it if it gets to 310. You could sell it if it gets anywhere close to 315. And then wait and see if it does the same thing again. Look at this movement in here. It just kind of goes back and forth. And I've done okay on just a kind of a small trade, but just on the back and forth and up and down, right? So that's a trade I would look at probably tomorrow. You could look at it today, but that's a question you're gonna have to ask yourself, what you already have, what kind of risk you have, and obviously I've been through the morning telling you that we are going to be a little more protective to get us through a bit of a sell-off from profit taking and more coronavirus goodies. But guys, I think that's it for me this morning. Are there any last questions or thoughts that you have for me? Another one I told you we were going to keep our eye on as you're kind of thinking of any last questions. Smith & Wesson continuing to head up. So maybe look at this one. If it tests 15 anytime soon, look at this one again. But I hate to buy when it's up at such a high and overbought. So maybe look for a pullback, but I think there's still room to run. Possibly. Any questions, guys? Last chance. I know there's the emotions you go through that I go through this morning, and as we've talked with Kevin back and forth, and we argue as we do. We talk about where the market is ridiculous, and what we look to for if it might come back. and you take all those things and you let them digest and you make some decisions. But the digesting period is important. And let's see if we can't make some money going down again. For heaven's sakes, we picked up a grundle of new shares on core holdings the last time it started to sell off. Maybe we can do that again. So that is the positive view. Not seeing any questions come over. Thanks for joining me this morning, guys. Hang in there and weather the storm and be safe. Talk to you later. Bye.